You know, I struggled with when I was at Messiah in school was being like too emotionally attached about my projects. So when people would like critique me, I would feel attacked. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this person's trying to kill me, and it's just like they're just making some sort of comment, you know, and trying to make you better, but it still feels so personal.
And that's like a skill too that you kind of have to build over time of like remembering, okay, yeah, I love my work. This is my work. It's like a part of me, but like it's not all of me because like I'm a great person.
So we'll be going through sections of my film called Journey. It's a documentary story about a white-tailed deer hunting through the lens of a man named Adam Labs. As I go through this, I'm going to talk about maybe things that I could have lit better, mistakes that I've made, things that I would want to do differently. And maybe through this, maybe you can learn something as well. How can you take my failings and apply it to your next project? And you know, just asking myself questions of like, what if people don't like this? What if people don't think it's funny? What if people don't think it's as cool as I think it is? And that's not, you know, that's not where I want to be. That's not the kind of emotions that I want to carry when I'm putting a project out there into the world. And that's not what I want to be attached to as an artist, as a creator, as a filmmaker. I want to be able to put something out there into the world and be honest about, okay, these are the mistakes that I've made. I want to be able to receive critique well. I want to be able to give critique well. And I think in that effort, today's video is something that can be helpful, not only for you, but for me.
If I shoot a big deer, literally the only thing I didn't have any like control over is how big the deer was. Like I had control over like when I went out and where I was and like how close I was to the deer and how good of a shot I made. Like the smallest buck that I have is actually one of my favorites because it was my best shot ever. Yeah, it was far away and he was angling in a really weird way that it was actually really hard to get a shot at his heart, but I got him in the heart anyway. And one of my buddies was like, oh, why would you kill that deer? And I was like, because of the shot. If you make a shot like that, hands down, you've accomplished something.
I love the beginning. I love the music of it. I love the tone that it sets. But there are some things that bother me upon looking at this again. If you look at some of the footage of when he's in the woods with his green backpack, I shot this section of the film with my Sony a6000. It's a small mirrorless camera. Upon later in the year, when completing this project in the fall, was a time where I was able to save up and afford my first cinema camera, which is the C100. I can notice some slight differences. I can notice some slight differences in the highlights when you see the sun peeking through the green on the leaves. Things are really blown out. It's something that I couldn't quite fix in the editing side of things with the coloring. So if you look at Adam's skin in this footage when he's setting up his camera, some of the highlights look a little pink, and I'm not sure if that was just a result of me trying to correct the green by adding in magenta because of the green color that was just everywhere because of the leaves in that forest that day. But I don't know if my new camera would have been able to kind of handle that difference in color, But I will say that it is something that's slightly bothering, and if I could have it my way, that I would have fixed, that I would have tweaked.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through these bags of meat and process them. We're going to divide them up. Some of it's going to be just some basic roasts. We like to do a lot of stuff in the Instant Pot, the crock pot, so just a simple chunk of meat. Some of it I'm going to slice up and get ready to marinate for some jerky. Different flavors. We're going to do a tenderloin and a little bit of backstrap. And then we have a deer heart as well.
One thing that I failed to accomplish in this was, you'll notice from when he's in the woods and other sections of the film sound different than when he's in his kitchen preparing his food. And so the moments where you hop back and forth between that, you'll hear the sound difference of his voice, of how present it is. It's not as warm, and that's because on the day that we were cooking, I had a setting wrong in my audio recorder, and unfortunately, while it recorded the entire time, there was just a flat line of audio. There was nothing, and while that bugged me, I tried to move on from that. I didn't want to be too wrecked by the fact that I made a mistake, but being upfront, this is a mistake that I made. So where you can see this also being a problem in terms of not having a lav mic that's actually working, you can hear his son Micah in the background. And while I tried to do my best to avoid sections of it, there are times where you can hear Micah speaking, which is fine. In the sense that, this is a documentary, it's real life, it's not supposed to be absolutely perfect. But it is, I think, a moment that is distracting because it's not necessarily related to what Adam is saying in the moment.
Of the prep work we have to do, and then the rest of it we're going to slice up and do backstrap jerky, which is going to be amazing.
Is on the section that's referenced as the first hunt, where you actually get to see Adam actively walking around the woods with a crossbow and sitting in the deer stand, or sitting in the tree stand. One of the things that kind of bothers me now that I've watched it more is that the quietness of this moment, and for how long it felt in real life, doesn't necessarily seem as long as it should be. Reflecting on this more, I think maybe I could have taken this moment in editing and tried to really emphasize the fact that we saw no deer in the woods that day. Maybe a few squirrels, but there was nothing.
So we're just gonna sit up tight and be really still and quiet. Most of the action in this spot has been between 7 and 8:30, which is right now.
That patience that's required for that moment, that quietness and length of time, it falls a little short, in my opinion, on this section. It's just something that I've noticed. He walks into the woods and it's quiet, and there's reference to it in terms of there's these shots of these trees, which are beautiful, but again, there's just maybe it should have been longer, more still, to really emphasize that moment of time, that while Adam did see nothing, he essentially just waited there for a chunk of time, and we were both stuck in our thoughts. Are we going to see a deer? Are we going to accomplish what Adam wanted to in this documentary? Another thing that's really helpful when it comes to critique is showing it to other people. Showing it to other people who are both in your field and out of your field when you're looking for critique on a project. Keegan, what did you think about the film? Was there any do you have any looming advice, or do you think the story was successful? Is there any small bits and pieces that you could kind of pick apart?
Yeah, first overall, I really liked it. Knowing Adam, it's like cool to see what he's passionate about, and I thought that you communicated that in a really good way. There are just like 3 things that stuck out to me, critique-wise. I wasn't completely sure about the timeline because like it works, but then seeing it again, I don't know if linear would be better because it travels linearly except for like the cooking and the beat, like throughout. Like I like the intercutting because I think it helps the pacing of the story, but I don't know if structurally it still works. I'm not sure yet. I go back and forth, like I like when I think about it, because like I think there's a way. I don't have a suggestion for a change though, because I do enjoy the structure of that. The other thing, this is a super small thing, but I picked up on it. You said there's a title card that says Adam is a hunter from Central PA, and I questioned whether or not Central should be capitalized.
Okay.
It's like a really tiny thing, but I didn't know. I didn't like look into it. Like, I don't know if that counts as a proper noun or not.
Yeah, because it's referencing a place then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because I've seen it written that way before, like capitalized before. So,
yeah.
And then finally, at the end, maybe just the only thing I noticed was I really like everything that Adam says. I like that shot. But directing him a little bit more because he kind of darts between like looking up here.
Yeah, he looks at the camera.
And then like looking straight. It seems like he didn't like quite know where to go. I don't know if that was something that you had prefaced with him or not. But like that's the only moment in the film where it seems like he's uncomfortable on camera. But other than that, I really liked it. I liked the cinematography overall. The shot selection was good. Grade was good. Story, like, is cool. It's nice, like I said before, to see what Adam is very passionate about. So it's like a cool little insight. I like that.
That's all for this video. Thank you so much for being on this journey, and I hope that while you make films or any other sort of art project that you are able to take critique honestly, try to remove some emotion from it, so that not only you can get better, but the people who are giving you critique can get better as well.